thou shalt not judge. I know it seems like a really simple, easy topic. However, it's something that's so common in the church. I mean, what happens is that we come in as new Christians, we become new believers, and because, we haven't, developed into our walks with Christ, I find that it's easy to be the target for Christians who are mature to judge. So I just wanted us to all, remember what it was like when we first became Christians. Maybe you grew up in a Christian family and you had the luxury of living with Christian parents and seeing, how that was, demonstrated before your whole life. Personally for myself, when I came in as a Christian, I really found myself in a place where, so many people around me needed that extra grace from me. And I just feel like, as a refresher, we need to extend that same grace to new believers. I know for myself, it's only been 6 years, so I'm just a little baby believer. But what I do know is that in that 6 years, I went through quite a few messes. To kind of think about it, when I look back, some of it's kind of embarrassing, but hey, everybody needs to go through different things to get to where they are, right? It's called the revelation, but then not falling into that whole embarrassing, being embarrassed of what you've done. But just to keep walking and to keep growing, and for all of us just to look at people in the body of Christ, and just have extra grace for them in the way we view them. In the Bible, I find it so fascinating how Jesus, loved the prostitutes. He loved, even Paul. Paul was a murderer. He murdered Christians for their faith, and God chose him. And he walked so closely with God. He was just huge to, even to the world today, just for spreading the good news of the gospel. And Jesus picked even John. And I know in the chapter of John too, it's like John wrote, one of the books in the New Testament, and it says in there, Jesus, loved John. And I just remember at certain parts, it's like John, even when they were going, with Jesus and his 12 disciples into new towns, and, the towns wouldn't be hospitable to them, John would say to Jesus, hey, can we just, pray that fire falls, on these towns? And Jesus, I can just imagine what he's saying, he's like, that's not Christ-like, right? But the coolest thing about this is that, the more John, hung around Jesus, the more we, new believers, hang around Jesus, the more Christ-like we become. So it's the same thing. It's like, Jesus already knew. He already saw John, as being sanctified through and becoming more Christ-like, where you see, as people, like Chelsea, how I come in, and people would look at me and they would be like, wow, yeah, she needs Jesus. And it's so true. In the beginning of my walk, I feel like I am getting a bit better. But I just really feel like, this at the time I hadn't had the revelations. I hadn't had that opportunity to develop and become Christ-like. So yeah, just a message. I just pray that, as Christians, that we can all have extra grace for people, knowing that Jesus picks the broken, So yeah, just a quick message. Just wanted to share what was on my heart. God bless you, and remember, thou shalt not judge.